resources from members of the public. Whichever way you look at it, accountability within the police institution is not strong enough as it is, and that is why we're seeing a system whereby Inspector Generals of Police over the past 4 years are making the same statement over the same unit, and it seems that there's no level of compliance. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much there, Kemi, for your opening comments. We'll return to you in the course of the conversation. Once again, let's bring in a Director of Civil and Political Rights Department, Human Rights Commission. That's Ayinde Yakubu. Ayinde, tell us, what are some of the commonest complaints usually filed with your commission by victims of the operations of SARS? This is persons who presume themselves to be innocent. How has your commission tried to resolve some of these complaints?
Okay, thank you very much. Most of the allegations against SARS and police in general have to do with extrajudicial killing. That is killing either innocent citizens or even suspects without going through the instrumentality of the court. We also have complaints that have to do with the use of torture, cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. Other complaints that we receive deal with extortion. It's very alarming that, I can say it is barely difficult for Nigerians to take complaint to the police, including SARS, without the police asking for citizens to pay for these services, even though this may be very, very illegal and unlawful. But it has become common practice that before you can approach the police, you must drop something. Even when robbers, went to your house and they went to complain, so you will be further, your grievance will be further compounded when you get to the police. Then other issues have to do with abuse of power. Just as somebody said that the citizens, they use the police to get at each other. So what we thought is that the police is supposed to investigate before taking further action. So we have extrajudicial killing, torture, extortion, abuse of power, and those are the most common complaints against the police and against us. Now, what the commission does is of course, we have multiple ways of dealing with these issues, and our approach will depend on the gravity and the nature of the allegations of violations. But most time, we have good working relationship with the police leadership at every level, right from the divisional police area command, the state command, various zones, and also the office of the IG. We always request the police to carry out investigations. Of course, the police have been forthcoming in these areas, but we also have some challenges in terms of prompt response. And this may also make the citizens to be a bit restless when we don't have prompt report to do with investigation and also the action. But this is not saying that the police does not take action. They take action, but this action can be very slow. And sometimes the issue of accountability is also there. But also sometimes the commission also engage in public hearing, or we also do contentious hearing. That is, we bring the parties together, we bring the police together, we bring the citizens together, and we ask some questions, and we're able to find out that yes, violations have actually occurred, or where the citizens are not able to substantiate these violations. And the commission comes up with appropriate determination. Now we have the power to award compensation and damages, and which we have done. And police officers individually have paid these damages, then police institutions also, they've also paid to compensate and to also treat those that maybe they sustained injury in the course of investigation, some that lost their loved ones, even though you cannot pay for life, but at least you pay certain token to be able to make the family to go on with their lives. But of course, there are still a lot of things to be done in terms of the commission engaging the police to ensure that we have a responsive, efficient way of dealing with these violations.
Thank you, Mr. Yakubu, for your thoughts, for your clarifications and your contributions. Dr. Lugbo, we're trying to, before the campaign was end SARS, I mean, outright end SARS, and we've seen those campaigns, since 2016, 2017, and all that by some civil rights groups. We've also seen reaction or response from, the police in form of reforms and all that. But let's look at what would have, enhanced this behavior. The actions or responsibilities of the police force is guided by, until now, until this new act, by the 1943 Act, Police Act, which was what we have been operating until now. Is there a lacuna in that act that would have created this vacuum?
Okay, thank you. I mean, like Kemi rightly pointed out, we have laws. There are different laws we have in Nigeria. Nigeria is actually guided under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, which clearly states the provisions of what the Nigerian police should do. And the Constitution also provides for the right to life. The Constitution provides for that you are assumed to be innocent until proven guilty by a court of competent jurisdiction. The Constitution is against torture, degrading and inhuman treatment, and respect for human dignity. These are basic principles of the Constitution, which we have all agreed will govern us as a country. Beyond the provisions of the Constitution, then you have the Police Act, which of course was termed 2014. Then you have the regulation, the police regulation, 1968 or thereabout. Then you also have different force orders. The one of
Scattered here and there.
Yeah, several of them, like the 237 that deals with yes, with use of force, yeah. And the rest of them, and some of them have also been amended. So, in terms of laws, the laws are there, and that's
Are they well articulated and communicated to members of the force?
That is where the problem is. So there's a disconnect between what the law says and the practice. And I think the disconnection is in terms of training and retraining. The question is, what kind of training do we have in our police colleges? What kind of training do they go through? Beyond the training also, there's also that issue of funding. So, because you don't just train somebody for 6 months, 1 year, and that is it. There is need for training and retraining. There's also need for effective funding of security institutions, because they have access to heavy weapons that they can actually use to deal with citizens. One of the problems Nigerian citizens are having is that you will have a laptop or you have your cell phone, iPhone, and the police assumes you're a Yahoo person. When the law clearly says that there should be respect for human dignity.
Or you're wearing dreadlocks.
There is nothing in the Constitution that says if you're wearing dreadlocks that you should be arrested. Jeans. You understand? Also take into consideration, actually, during the lockdown, the first 2 weeks of the lockdown, we had more Nigerians die from police killing, from extrajudicial killing, than COVID-19 itself. It was when the National Human Rights Commission issued a very strong-worded press release, followed by what civil society were doing, that's gradually... So I agree with, to an extent, with IGP Suleimana, but we have excellent police officers. Unfortunately, the activities of the bad eggs have actually taken over what the good ones are doing, and nobody hears about the good ones. The other thing I want to add is that A former police inspector general of police told us that the police you have is a reflection of the society. And I think that is a good point. Their accommodation, their salaries. So there is this thing about Nigeria not recognizing the fact that people who are working should actually be taken care of. So I think
but they are not the only Nigerians in that.
They are not the only Nigerians. So the problem,
there are a lot of other Nigerians who are even going
so
to worse.
the problem is just like somebody trying to justify corruption. There is no way you can justify extrajudicial killing because you're not well funded. But we are also saying that for you to have a good Nigerian police force, you need to provide them with the means within which they can work, so that we can also hold them accountable. So if you ask, are there enough laws? There are enough laws. Even the current Police Act 2020, the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, and other laws actually protect citizens and also give police what they should do when they arrest somebody. But those things are just thrown out of the wind.
All right. Dr. Olubo, if you recall, when we had your good self and the former IG on Good Morning Nigeria to discuss some of the provisions of the new Police Act 2020, the issue also came up as to how much understanding officers on the beat, and this will now include SARS, have of the law. The law beginning from the Constitution and all other relevant laws that they are supposed to enforce. And you just only now re-emphasizing that. I want to bring in former Inspector General Suleiman Abba again. Let's say the daily encounters that citizens complain about, and usually young persons, that SARS have tended to become fashion police. They will say you're not supposed to be wearing a dreadlock or the kind of outfit you have. And they're checking your phones, they're checking your laptop. Assuming the whole idea is to check the balance or to see whether there are transactions, I was just wondering, why would a special anti-robbery squad be taken on the function, for instance, of EFCC or special fraud unit? I don't know. These are some of the things that citizens, I've never encountered any police officer, by the way, I should say that, who asks me, let me see your phone. My phone is my phone. It's none of your business. So, but why would you have police officers, despite directives that have been issued over the past 4 years, 4 different occasions, to say officers on the beat, SARS now, that is not your responsibility. Why do you just have some of this? These are not just bad eggs. It's fairly routine. What is the challenge with saying, look, comply with directives coming from the Inspector General's office?
Well, let me first express my happiness with what Madam said in asking the director the question of, when this thing started. And she says 2016. By then I was already 1 year out of office. But that doesn't mean that I'm not interested in what is going on, and I should not own even some form of responsibility. Like I said from the beginning, things went wrong with the leadership. Everybody wants credit. A commissioner of police in a state would like to prove to the government of the state that his own SARS that has busted the armed robbers, gang of armed robbers or kidnappers. So bringing them onto the roads, making it easy for them to operate, became a passion from 2016. And unfortunately, that has given the police bad name. During our days, what will bring us on the road? I have never, even in my dreams, I have never dreamt of any situation where SARS will be on the road. No. Unless if there's an armed robbery going on and the DPO of the area, alerts SARS that this is what is happening, then the SARS team will join the DPO in cordoning the area and getting the armed robbers. Otherwise, there was never anything like searching on the road. But I also would like to say that we should not be unmindful of the orchestration of those who want to see SARS cleared out completely. Otherwise, I still repeat, it is Yahoo boys that carry the dreadlocks, most of them. It is Yahoo boys that drive the big cars. It is Yahoo boys that show affluence. Why SARS is on the road, I'm totally against it, and I'm happy the IGP has banned it. And I pray it works. And in fact, it should work. It should be made to work. But that doesn't mean that we should listen to people who want to see SARS out of the road.
But isn't this profiling? You're saying those who drive big cars are probably Yahoo boys, those who wear dreadlocks.
That's not what I said.
No, but that's the necessary inference. But if it isn't, please clarify.
Well, it isn't. When you say somebody carries an insignia, it doesn't mean that you're generalizing the society. You are talking about what investigation shows, and you are going in a form of profiling. But I still repeat, it is not the responsibility of SARS. Just like you said, it should be the responsibility of anti-fraud. In the states, you have anti-fraud departments at the CID. At the national level, we still have the anti-fraud unit, from which we have EFCC and ICPC and so on going on. So those should be their own responsibilities. There are too many people to do it than to bring SARS. I just don't know why SARS is brought out. SARS should be reformed to come out like a SWAT team, a team that has enough equipment. And in any case, my heart is touched now. And very soon I will expose those who are stopping the takeoff of the Nigeria Police Trust Fund.
Okay.
Because we are talking about funding, we are talking about training and retraining, and it's like there are people who don't want this trust fund to take off. Very soon we'll expose them.
IGP, former IGP, calm down. Calm down, calm down. No, it's a serious matter. Kemi, the campaign is to end SARS by, some civil rights groups. But a statement coming out from the office of the force PRO, DCP Frank Omba, says there aren't going to be an end to SARS, but reform is being, of course, instituted. During the time of the immediate past IGP, Idris Bottom, we saw some form of reform, structural reforms, where the state SARS were collapsed into the federal SARS. We have seen the same thing again, even now, being implemented by the IGP Adamu. So how can we move away from lip service, move away from just dressing the wounds, to really looking at real reform that can address the issues of character?
I would say that, there needs to be a purge of SARS. So, because I'm sure that we have a list and we have information and we have details of the so-called bad eggs in SARS. These so-called bad eggs, where are they? If you are putting new wine in old skin, it's definitely going to burst. We need to look at first an audit of SARS and the personnel within SARS. We need to move out, if it's possible, move out as much as possible those that are there right now. And those that have complaints against them, and some of the complaints have been found to be justified, it's not enough to say officers should pay. They should face the courts of the law. They should be taken to court. Anybody that kills, it's murder, it's homicide. Extrajudicial killing is a fanciful name of saying murder. So officers that are involved in extrajudicial killings should be prosecuted. Those that are involved in torture should be prosecuted. And that should be done across the country. Then you now start looking at those that want to join. and you put in place a parameter and criteria for those that want to join. And when you're screening to join, mental health is one of the screening criteria that should go into it. Is a person mentally balanced? I know that for Mopo, you can't be in mobile police for more than 6 or 7 years. Maybe the same needs to apply to SARS. Maybe it's a unit that you can become a bit desensitized and dehumanized if you stay there for a longer period of time. So all those mechanisms, all those structures, all those fine things need to be put in place. External oversight mechanisms like National Human Rights Commission, Police Service Commission, civil society groups can only play a little role. The bulk of it is on the table of the police. The police need to be sincere and be honest in addressing this issue. If they are not sincere and they are not honest in addressing it, and finally I would say there is the issue of godfatherism. I know that I've engaged with the former Inspector General of Police, and he was trying to do a bit of shake-up in the SARS office in Lagos then. And the calls that were coming to him of not moving particular officers, particularly the ones that were even being flagged for violations, were coming from the top people, from top elites in the country. So you ask yourself, why do you want this person particularly placed within your state and holding a leadership role? Is it because he's become your errand boy to run errands that you want, that you cannot talk about, that you think he can do it for you? So the police need to be sincere. They need to look at it, and they need to go at it with a determination, not minding who at the leadership level, at the top echelon, either in the society or in government, that will be affected by it.
Well, Kemi, I still would like to stay with you very briefly so that you probably also express your views on this point. You talked about a purge of SARS, and some persons will say, all right, we've been talking about bad eggs. One of the ways to deal with bad eggs, of course, is to get rid of them. But we have also seen in Nigeria instances where criminal activities have been leaked to former law enforcement officers, including policemen. Offer robbery, for instance, is one, and several others. Usually, there is a challenge with the exit plans for these so-called bad eggs. If some of them are hot-headed, they've been trained in weapons handling, and you kick them out, they had no tolerable conditions of service in the first instance, and they have to now fend for themselves. What happens? Rather than a purge of throwing out everyone who is considered bad, wouldn't retraining and probably reassignment be a better option?
Yes, we can retrain and reassign those that are trainable, right? And if we look at there's certain elements and certain characters that we do not want in the police force. That is a given. So if we're saying the person's challenge or the officer's challenge is that of training or retraining, do you want to have a plan whereby you identify and then we go through a training process, also putting in place a hands-on supervisory process, and then you now look at the element of 3 stripes and you're out. That's what they say. So this first flaunt of the process, second flaunting of the process, the third flaunting of the process, the fourth or fifth, can you still continue to say that it is an issue of training or retraining? The officer that is within the police that is carrying gun and extorting and is torturing innocent citizens and collecting money from them, collecting their things, collecting their property from them, kicked out of the police, is now doing the same thing. The person has always been a robber. The person has always been a criminal. So what we should not, in my final point will be, in the course of trying to train and retrain, we should not allow criminals to be embedded within our security institution. All in a bid because we say we do not want criminals on the street. We still have criminals. He or she is still a criminal on the street. It's just that the person is being protected by the security apparatus of the institution.
All right, Kingsley, let's just quickly take a break now.
That's
The
right.
director is calling for a break. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria. We shall be right back with our conversation on SARS reforms.
Guess what?
What?
I scored a hat trick today.
Cool!
Wow!
And how did you celebrate?
Just do your hands like
And
this.
hold your nose like this?
Body odor is caused by germs. That's why you need the new improved Dettol Cool Soap, which protects against 99.9% odor-causing germs with an extra burst of menthol freshness. Dettol, be 100% sure.
A new edition of TV Guide is out, featuring great personalities from all walks of life. Expository interview with a young TV presenter who shows passion on what she does, Morayo Afolabi Brown of TVC. Pick a copy of this compendium of mind-blowing stories and get abreast with issues as regards media convergence, leadership, health, star profiles, star programs, fashion, sports, human angle stories, and lots more. Meet some media professionals within our space who have paid their dues in no small ways. TV Guide, very incisive, very educative and compelling. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or NTA stations nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
All right, you're welcome back. And I still, Good Morning Nigeria on NTA's network service. Claire, we have a number of tweets that have come in. Let's go through some of those tweets and then return to our guests who are all very well informed about the issue that we're discussing. Suleiman Babagana tweets, the aggressive behavior of SARS personnel towards innocent Nigerians is something that has been bedeviling the citizens and has caused loss of respect for the squad in the eyes of Nigerians.
And Law Afose, I'm skeptical of any form of reform that would impact positively on SARS and other tactical squads of Nigerian police, other than adequate professional training, which is an all-encompassing and certification with adequate remuneration.
Solomon, that's the handle. SARS means a virus and nightmare to Nigerians. The federal government needs to scrap the team and merge them with other squads and the police force.
Mike Ayakwo, a popular saying that SARS bribe or bail is 10K and ordinary police 1K. Of course. Now, that shows the level of impunity going on there with utmost recklessness. We must not only sanitize it, but also rid it of bad elements. Police is friend of the people, and primary duty is to protect the citizens.
Let me just... We've taken Suleiman Babagana earlier. That's Onyebuchi Ezenwa says the proposed reform of SARS, that's to say, is a good step. Nigerians can no longer tolerate continued harassment, illegal arrests, and unlawful detention by members of SARS.
Ugwanyi Christian, it's a welcome development. Total overhauling and reform of the squad is needed if they can't outrightly end it and put them out of existence.
Adamu Kacha, those who are guilty of killing innocent persons should face the law, and the professionals amongst them may choose to remain.
Festus Akimboyewa, I doubt if SARS can be born again. It has lost its integrity and professionalism, while Nigerians are generally policed by security agencies that perpetrate stunning abuses. SARS abuses are monumental, national scandals, and those managing the police should be held responsible.
Chris Simeon, the federal government should send SARS to Boko Haram and bandits-prone areas like Meduguri, Zamfara, and Yobe to show how powerful they are. Okay, Festus, we've taken one of your tweets. Let's get on to Chris Simeon. You did take one from Chris Simeon. Let's go over to Dele Jack Solomon. It's no longer news that unlawful killings by the SARS occur as a result of lack of professionalism on the job, lack of resources, uncontrolled anger and emotional instability, greed and corruption, use of illicit drugs, drinking of alcohol while on duty, as well as absence of reforms. Now, this one is coming from Nwala Ugochukwu. It says the word reform can mean amend, correct, rectify, etc. But what I don't understand is these persons called SARS, what is their line of duty in the police force?
Ojo Lighton, what is the judgment for all those killing people in the streets anyhow in the name of arresting Yahoo boys? And tell us that we don't have full access to our mobile phones in this country. Please shed more light on it. That's what we've been doing all along.
That's right. That's right. It's Amos. If the reforms are carried out, they would certainly be applauded by millions of Nigerian youths and their parents. However, it shouldn't be done in a manner that affects the purpose and efficiency of SARS.
Yunusa Idris, the reform has become necessary as killing innocent people without going through judicial process is uncalled for.
Well, this one is coming from a handle, it's Positive Ideas, and it's making a claim in this tweet. Please listen carefully. Positive Idea. It says, there is a SARS officer named DPO Slam who vows to kill innocent citizens because his family was killed. I wonder what he's still doing in the police. He leads that which caused the problems in Uele.
Motana Farouk, what is playing out in Nigeria in terms of extrajudicial killing by the law enforcement agents is not different from what plays out in other countries, especially in America and India. Law enforcement agents ought to be civil, court shows and law abiding.
Leo Fadaka, a holistic reform of the police will enhance public confidence in the institution. SARS has proven to be counterproductive over the years beyond redemption, with the high infiltration of bad eggs within the formation. Now, this is not exactly true from what we have heard from our guests and for what we do know, that SARS has become counterproductive. SARS is still a crime-busting outfit.
Precisely.
Let's get that clear.
Precisely, and we must give credit to those, especially the leadership of Abba Kyari, yes. So
that is Inspector General of Police's Rapid Response Team or something. They go all over the country. You get them. Some of these big, Evans, the kidnapper, those of them in Rivers and in several other places. The robbers, of course, get taken in from time to time by SARS. But the key issue is the operational mode of some of the officers and what they are reported to be doing to ordinary citizens. Some of them now become, as citizens have claimed, almost no different from armed robbers.
Anti-citizens themselves.
That's right.
All right. Promise Oliver says, what are the disciplinary actions taken against, the so-called bad eggs in FSARS? When they carry out these activities, robbery, molestation, and all that, and get away free, others will continue to do it.
Augusta has this, Augusta McAngus, that's the Twitter handle, says enough of extortion, extrajudicial killing, and torture and abuse of power. Can the former Inspector General of Police highlight his input towards a better welfare package during his tenure? All right. This one, it says his handle here is hash end SARS, not ban SARS. Maybe you can say end SARS impunity.
Exactly.
Hash end SARS impunity.
It makes sense.
I don't know. Sorry, I'm not an advocate. I'm just referring to what it says. End SARS impunity. So that at the end of the day, we're not the ones complaining to say, oh, we called the police, they didn't respond. They said they have no fuel, X, Y, Z. But a number of suggestions have been made clear. There's something that we have also heard in recent times. As part of, my question is going to Dr. Benson Olugbo, and perhaps the former IG may also respond to this, and any of the other guests will have enough time. As part of the safety protocol that the police authorities have sometimes issued to citizens, you are told that don't argue with an armed policeman. And sometimes when I read that thing on the social media, they say when they are searching your vehicle, don't argue with them. It reminds me of what Zeke was reported to have said about politics and arguing with a man with a gun. That's as a politician, arguing with a man with a gun because you might not live to see tomorrow. What do we know about the finger discipline of officers on the beat who are bearing arms? whether SARS or no SARS. It's as if, I mean, the former IG said if you don't strike, if there's a presumption that if you don't strike fear into the people, they might not respect you. But do you need to strike fear into me for me to respect you? And in this case, you are told, don't argue with a person. Sometimes, I mean, you're on the road, you may have encountered this. Some officers, the kind of questions they ask you, I mean, it's not just simple interrogation, but I mean, sometimes, I mean, you are just, and then after a while it begins to escalate into irritation. Plus, if there's a presumption that, all right, where did you get the money to buy this kind of car? Why are you dressed like this? If your parents are affluent, so what?
Yeah, I think the IGP will be in a better position to answer because he's been part of it. He understands it very well.
No. But I think part of it is not the one doing those things.
No. I mean, he is part of the institution. So okay. Yeah, my own take is that, of course, it's normal if you are in a situation where you are having a discussion with an armed person. As a normal human being who cherishes your life, you just have to be careful. I've also had my own experience of police altercation, and I had to raise my hand up because they were all armed and all those things. That was just before the 2019 general elections. But the reality in terms of relationship between the police and citizens is that the police should actually be giving us confidence. When you see an average policeman, the idea is that rescue has come. But unfortunately, the reverse is the case. And there's also a disconnect. The law says you're innocent. Unfortunately, when you encounter average police officers, especially SARS, the scenario is that you are guilty and you have to prove that you're innocent. But they have actually, in their course of training, in becoming a police officer, the understanding is that your responsibility is to protect life and property of citizens. It's the bad eggs that they should actually be looking for. But unfortunately, what is happening now with the SARS problem is that average citizens, those who are trying to make ends meet, who are in taxis, in cars, probably, and I must correct also, there are people who actually come with dreadlocks from their womb, from their mother's womb. Yes. People come with dreadlocks. Yes. There are also people who do it artificially. But it's not everybody with a dreadlock that should be seen as a criminal. So my worry is that we should come out of this thing of when we see a police officer with a gun, then we fear the worst. Because it also creates tension. Not to forget, there have been instances where innocent citizens were killed, citizens reacted, and even lynched police officers. If the police is unable to protect citizens, the problem is that the citizens can actually revolt. How many police officers do we have? How many people can you actually kill if you have a gun? You understand what I'm trying to say? So it is the responsibility of the police to realize that the same citizens that they ought to protect can also revolt if push comes to shove. And nobody expects that to happen. So the laws are there to guide relationship between police officers and citizens. And what does it say? He is innocent until proven guilty by a court of competent jurisdiction. There are instances where police officers actually under use of force and all those things are allowed to shoot. But also, shooting actually is like you have to demobilize the person and not to kill the person. But instances where somebody is suspected of stealing cell phone and you execute him in front of citizens, those who watched it, those who see it will somehow begin to realize that my life is actually worth nothing. So under that situation, people actually react to such things. And I think it's something we should also be looking at as we think about how to deal with what the IGP has, the pronouncement he has made now in terms of banning all these checkpoints, roadblocks, that is actually going out of hand.
We've seen ban on roadblocks, checkpoints. We've seen ban on policemen not, asking for your vehicle license and all that. And it's not enforced. It's not enforced. You still see people, members of the police force do the same thing over and over again. So, Mr. Yakubu, in what way do you think that the new act, Police Act, maybe by articulating the functions of, the police force now, members of the police force, Do you think in that way it would have addressed the gap that we're discussing right now?
Thank you. The Police Act, as well as any other law, they are meant to regulate the conduct of the police in particular. But as we all know, law in itself is not sufficient to address these issues that we are talking about. What I think is key and very important, just to re-emphasize what some of the guests have said, is that the police force as an institution must carry out a sincere and purposeful institutional reform. Yes, we, the stakeholders, we can assist. But the first thing is for the police itself to acknowledge the behavior of the bad eggs among them, and to ensure that where...
they have.
Yes, and to also to ensure that where there are reported cases of this misconduct, they are promptly, effectively investigated, and appropriate sanctions taken, and the public are aware of the efforts that the police is doing. That is very important. Of course, there are a whole lot of range of things to be done, right from recruitment. Then when we talk about this issue of funding, now, yes, there can be more funding. But of course, the police itself also has to judiciously use the fund that is getting. Some of these things, when we say government, some of these things are not what government has to do. Government provides funds, government does this, but the institution has to ensure that in terms of training, in terms of equipment, in terms of facilities, these things are put in place. And where you need assistance, of course, you seek this assistance, and stakeholders are there. They are prepared to assist the police to reform itself and to get the kind of attention that it deserves from the government.
All right, Inde Yakubu, thank you very much, former Inspector General of Police. Let's get your thoughts on this. Earlier, I mean, you talked about a number of challenges that SARS faces, welfare, conditions of service, career development, training, and tools. But these are not matters that reside outside of the police institution. They are not matters that the citizens can, on their own, immediately seek automatic solutions, as it were. As Inde Yakubu was saying a while ago, whatever is available to the police, couldn't this also be utilized for the cleansing and the strengthening of SARS and ending their impunity rather than saying get rid of them?
Well, thank you very much. I think I still have to repeat the loss of any life in the process of investigation, and that will mean in the process of extrajudicial killing or even the process of torturing resulting in death is very, very unfortunate. And I must say that it's only in recent time that it became something of too much public attention. I'm not saying they were not there in those days. They were, but I think they were really in very, very minimum incidents. But I think I still want to say that even today, just like the incident in Delta, you can now see, we were talking about shooting, we were talking about death, and that isn't what the investigation has found. That isn't the result. But even at that, what happened is really, really unfortunate, because the damage it has caused the image of the police may never recover in time or in a short period of time. But what I'm saying is, let us not use an incident to completely criticize and almost condemn all the good things that fine police officers, including SARS officers, have been doing. Imagine a situation where a whole police station is closed. Imagine the damage that can happen. And I can never imagine the damage that will happen if members of the public continue to, go on strike or demonstrate or fight armed people, not in the 20th century. Because even in America, we've seen it. For whatever reasons that are easily found, whether racism and so on, police still arrest when they shouldn't, shoot when they shouldn't, and death occur when it shouldn't have occurred. But we should appreciate the fact that in our own situation, the problem is lack of training, lack of retraining, lack of equipment. I served in the police for 31 years. I never seen a machine that is called lie detector. I never seen it. So what do you expect an investigator to do and detect that somebody is telling lies?
All right, former IGP, I have to stop you at this point and take just the closing remarks from Kemi. In just few words, Kemi, the Office of the Force Public Relations Officer has come out to say that, look, you could record, police officers engaged in illegal activities and also send messages, via their social media handles. But there was a proviso, he said, if or when it is safe. What would be your take on that?
It's only a person that lives, that is alive, that can make a complaint and follow up with his or her complaint. And that's also, I'll also link it to the issue of extrajudicial killings by the police. When they go ahead and kill somebody on the premise that the person is suspected to be a thief or the person was suspected to be a kidnapper, the person is not alive to tell his or her own side of the story. So which means automatically the person is innocent. So, there must be a way of getting complaints. And I'm sure that there have been series of complaints that have been sent to the force headquarters, either to the office of the force PRO, because the Public Complaints Bureau is under the supervision of the force PRO, and the rapid response, the complaints response unit. What I would have expected for the police to do at this point in time is to look at the complaints that have come to them. They do not need to wait for people to send complaints to them. I know within the office of the force PRO, they have an active Twitter handle. They have someone that looks at the social media pages. So why can't you just every now and then go onto the social media page, comb the complaints that are there, look at it, analyze it, and use that as a tool for management response. They have management meetings every month. What is discussed at the management meetings? The states that are flagged. How is the IG tasking the AIGs, tasking the CPs to ensure that they also task the supervisory officers that work with them? We do not need to wait until we get new pictures. The pictures and the images and all the complaints we have is enough for the police to move right now. And what we expect is proper action on the part of the police. And I'll still stress, commitment, sincerity in handling this thing is what we need to see.
All right, Kemi, thank you very much. Claire, I think that Nigerians, or some Nigerians who have expressed pessimism about whether or not SARS can be reformed, shouldn't lose hope. We have seen one reform measure that worked in the past, and I think the effect continues to linger. In 1986, there were students' demonstrations at Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria. The police moved in and killed a number of students. After that, of course, there were investigations, and there was then a standing instruction for police officers not to move into campuses. And since then, very rarely, yes, during riots. Since then, you have hardly heard of police officers moving onto campuses and then, of course, engaging students and killing students on campuses. That was after the ABU massacre of 1986. Kingsley, so, of course, we can get SARS to work.
Indeed, we can get SARS to work. And we'd like to appreciate all our guests today who have made their contributions to this topic. Let me start again with Kemi Okenyodo. Kemi, thank you very much for your insights. Kemi is Executive Director, Partners West Africa. Thank you once again. I would also like to appreciate Abdurrahman Ainde Yakubu, Director, Civil and Political Rights Department, National Human Rights Commission, NHRC. Many thanks to you. Dr. Benson Olugbo, Olugbo is correct?
Yes, thank you.
Olugbo, or how do you call it?
All of them.
Executive Director, Clean Foundation, thank you. And of course, former Inspector General of Police, Abba Suleiman, thank you very much for joining us. And that's it today on Good Morning Nigeria. Thank you for watching as always, and do join us again same time tomorrow. Bye-bye from me.
I'm Kingsley Osadolo. Stay safe and be well.
Follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. All visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Welcome to Thoughts for the Week. I hope you've been doing very well, and I hope that the things happening in the world are not getting you down. Don't worry, they'll definitely pass. Now, let's take a look at our hands. All the fingers on our hands, they are not equal, are they? They can never be equal, because our elders have said all fingers of the same hand can never be equal. That's the truth. Now imagine on your hand all the fingers were equal. In this present day world, some people would call you a freak, because they'll say that is not normal. So the fact that all the fingers are not equal doesn't mean that the small one lacks more importance than the big one. Don't be surprised that the differences you see on your fingers are the things that make them work seamlessly. It's same for nature. Let's take some examples. You have the sea. On one part of the sea, you may have this beautiful level beach where you can easily walk and have fun. On the other side, you may have some very sharp rocks that if you fall on them or from them, you may not survive. Same for the hills and the valleys. Same for the ranges and the sprawling fields in front of them. Nothing is actually the same in nature. So, even human beings are not all the same. We are all different. Just like my Joseph coat. It has many colors. That is how all human beings are. We are different people, different colors, but we come together to form one complete whole. There is an Irish proverb that says, "Strength is not possible without unity." That means if all these colors did not come together in one seamless pattern, this would not be